The comments from Rassie Erasmus ahead of the opening clash against Argentina have once again sparked a wider conversation about the future of international rugby. While much of the attention surrounding the Springboks has focused on squad selection, player rotation, and the highly anticipated Greatest Rivalry series against the All Blacks, the South African head coach chose to address an issue that he believes could shape the sport for many years to come. Rather than limiting his thoughts to tactics or team news, Erasmus openly discussed the structure of the international calendar, explaining why he believes the Southern Hemisphere competitions should eventually align with the Northern Hemisphere schedule. His comments were not presented as criticism for the sake of controversy, but as a practical suggestion based on the realities that modern professional rugby players face throughout the year. For several seasons, the rugby calendar has become increasingly demanding, particularly for players representing nations whose stars compete in European club competitions. Since South Africa left Super Rugby in 2020 and joined the United Rugby Championship, many of the country's leading internationals have found themselves playing almost continuously. Domestic competitions flow into European tournaments before international commitments begin almost immediately afterward. Recovery periods have become shorter, pre-season preparation has been reduced, and players often move directly from one high-intensity competition into another without receiving the extended rest that elite athletes traditionally relied upon. It is this growing workload that continues to concern Rassie Erasmus, and his latest remarks suggest that the issue is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. According to Erasmus, synchronizing the Rugby Championship with the Six Nations window could provide a more balanced structure for international rugby. Although he acknowledged that significant logistical and commercial challenges would need to be solved before such a change could become reality, he made it clear that he believes the discussion deserves serious attention. The South African coach admitted that he is not involved in every administrative decision taking place in rugby's boardrooms, but from the perspective of someone responsible for preparing elite athletes, the benefits appear obvious. A synchronized calendar could create clearer seasons, longer recovery periods, and more consistent preparation for international competitions while reducing the physical and mental pressure currently placed on players competing across multiple continents. His willingness to speak publicly about the issue also reflects one of the defining characteristics of his coaching career. Rassie Erasmus has rarely avoided discussing subjects that he believes influence the long-term health of the sport. Whether speaking about player welfare, coaching innovation, officiating protocols, or competition structures, he has consistently demonstrated a readiness to share his opinions even when they generate debate. On this occasion, however, his tone was measured rather than confrontational. He repeatedly emphasized that there may be logistical complexities that coaches do not fully appreciate, but he also stressed that the conversation itself should continue because player welfare must remain a priority for everyone involved in professional rugby. The timing of these comments is particularly significant because the Springboks are entering one of their busiest and most demanding international periods in recent memory. Instead of a traditional Rugby Championship campaign, South Africa are preparing for a remarkable four-test showdown against the All Blacks, including 3 matches on South African soil before the rivalry concludes with a neutral venue encounter. The series has already generated enormous excitement among supporters because matches between these two rugby giants have historically defined eras, produced unforgettable moments, and influenced world rankings as well as tournament momentum. Yet beneath the anticipation lies another challenge for the coaching staff, ensuring that their players arrive physically fresh enough to perform at the highest level. That challenge explains why squad rotation has become such an important feature of the Springboks under Rassie Erasmus. Throughout recent seasons, supporters have often seen experienced international players rested for certain fixtures while younger talents receive valuable opportunities to gain test experience. Although some fans occasionally question surprising team selections, the broader strategy has become increasingly clear. Rather than focusing solely on individual matches, the coaching staff are building a squad capable of maintaining performance levels across an entire international cycle. In modern rugby, depth has become almost as valuable as first-choice quality because injuries, travel demands, and packed schedules make it nearly impossible for the same starting 15 to play every important match throughout the year. The importance of that philosophy becomes even more apparent when examining South Africa's current preparations. Before beginning the eagerly awaited series against the All Blacks, the Springboks have travelled to South America for another demanding challenge against Argentina. Playing away from home always introduces unique difficulties, including unfamiliar conditions, passionate home support, and extensive travel. For coaching staffs already trying to manage player workloads, every additional international trip becomes another factor requiring careful planning. Decisions about training intensity, recovery sessions, travel schedules, and squad rotation all contribute to maintaining player fitness across the season. Interestingly, Rassie Erasmus believes that Argentina are facing many of the same issues confronting South Africa. Under head coach Felipe Contepomi, Los Pumas also rely heavily on players based in European competitions. Like the Springboks, Argentina's international stars often transition directly from demanding club campaigns into test rugby with limited opportunities for extended recovery. As a result, Contepomi has also embraced squad rotation, recognizing that preserving player freshness today may ultimately improve performances during the sport's biggest competitions tomorrow. The mutual understanding between the two coaches adds another layer of respect to this rivalry. Rather than viewing rotation as a sign of weakness or uncertainty, both coaching groups appear to see it as a necessary response to the realities of modern professional rugby. Erasmus openly acknowledged his friendship with Felipe Contepomi, explaining that he understands the challenges facing the Argentine coach because their circumstances are remarkably similar. Both nations must carefully balance immediate competitiveness with long-term player welfare, ensuring that their strongest athletes remain healthy enough to perform when the biggest trophies are on the line. From a strategic perspective, this approach may prove increasingly valuable as rugby continues evolving into a game requiring exceptional physical output every single week. Modern forwards are expected to cover greater distances while maintaining dominance in collisions, and backs now combine speed, power, and defensive responsibilities unlike previous generations. Recovery has therefore become just as important as preparation. Sports science departments carefully monitor training loads, sleep quality, nutritional recovery, and injury risk because even small reductions in freshness can significantly influence performance at international level. Rassie Erasmus has repeatedly emphasized that burnout represents one of the greatest threats facing elite rugby players. Burnout extends beyond physical fatigue, often including mental exhaustion after years of constant travel, training camps, media responsibilities, and high-pressure matches. When athletes receive insufficient opportunities to disconnect from competition, performance levels can gradually decline even if they remain technically fit enough to play. By rotating players more frequently, coaches hope to protect not only muscles and joints but also motivation, concentration, and long-term career longevity. These concerns become even more relevant when considering future competitions such as the Rugby World Cup, the nation's championship knockout stages, and showcase events like the Greatest Rivalry series. Teams aiming to peak during those defining moments cannot afford to have exhausted players carrying accumulated fatigue from months of uninterrupted rugby. Instead, careful workload management throughout the season increases the likelihood that experienced leaders will be physically and mentally prepared when the sport reaches its most important occasions.